Today we're going to talk about transmission troubles, specifically missing third gear. It's a '07 Ford Explorer 4-liter V6. I say 4-liter because they did put a 4.6 in these, but they use a different transmission. The 4-liter uses a 5R55W or /S, both the same trans. They are to my knowledge, the last version of a A4LD is the way they started out. Ford needed a transmission of 4-speed with a lockup converter for their intermediate cars back in the 80s, and they came up with a A4LD, and it evolved into a 5-speed, which is just a programming change, believe it or not. Same number of clutches, same number of bands, and you get 5 gears when you put them on in a different order. Anyway, this one, missing third gear, had first good, second, third was gone. And you let off the throttle, she'd finally take fourth, and they had fourth and fifth, and the converter locked up, and it didn't slip in any of the other gears. And it had a trouble code P0745. Which is a pressure transducer code. And your pressure transducer is what sets the line pressure, or technically called the TV pressure. But line pressure is reality what it is. It's the amount of oil pressure that's going to the clutch packs to apply them. When you're under a very light load, you don't want a lot of line pressure because you get an abrupt shift. But when you're under a heavy load, when you're accelerating hard, you want the line pressure to go up so that the clutches don't slip when they try to engage. And this is being constantly monitored and controlled by, in this case, the computer. It used to be done by what was called a TV cable or a vacuum modulator in the earlier transmissions. But since they all went electronic, and you got electronic valve bodies, they're also controlling the line pressure electronically. And the computer said that this servo was bad, or the pressure transducer was bad. And I'm like, wow, why would a pressure transducer cause only third gear to be gone? Didn't make sense to me. So I told the customer, let me pull the pan and we'll take a look, and then we'll decide what to do. And took the pan off, and it was clean. I mean, there was no metal in the pan. The magnet had a normal amount of black gook on it from 140,000 miles worth of driving. I don't think the pan's ever been off. And the filter looked good. So doing some research, everybody says you got to change the whole solenoid pack. The pressure transducer is part of the solenoid pack. And so that's what I did. And we'll just briefly run over that. This is a picture of with the valve body off, your solenoid pack mounts right here. This is the front of the vehicle. This is the driver's side. And there's a screw that comes down from the top. It's coming from the top outside of the transmission. That's the plug. That's a 12-pin plug right there. You got to get that screw out. And then there's 8 bolts that hold the solenoid pack onto the transmission, onto the valve body itself. And there's a solenoid pack, and this is up. This is where that 10mm bolt goes in from the top, and there's your 12-pin plug. And one of these is the pressure transducer, and the other 2 are the shift solenoids. So I bought a new one and put it on, and the other thing that you got to watch for, and I learned on this because of line pressure, is there's a metal plate that warps, and this goes above the solenoid pack. And here's your gasket, okay? And if you take a straight edge and lay it across this metal plate, it's hard to see in this video, or the camera, but it is not flat. So I went back and replaced that because I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it looked, and I went ahead and replaced it. And when you get your solenoid pack, the new one, they tell you, that's the other thing, is you got to soak these things. So you make sure that when you're doing this job, you put the solenoid pack, the new one, into a bucket and fill it with trans fluid and let it sit there until all the air bubbles comes out. They say 20 minutes. I left it in there for at least that long. And then I also put some dielectric grease on the plug before I put it back in. Anyway, it fixed it. Vehicle runs fine. It's got all 5 gears now. Transmission, the converter clutch locks right up. And it operates just perfect. If anything, it has a little more line pressure now than it had before. I've worked on this vehicle several times, and I know it pretty well. And it has a much firmer shift now. So I suspect that the calibration on the new solenoid pack is slightly different. But it's good. It's all good. It's got higher line pressure. It shifts a little firmer. Actually, I kind of like it like that. So that's it. If you have one of these and you're missing third gear, you might want to give that a try. Thanks for watching.